Coming to you live from my living room in Colombia. I'm just wearing the Guajira and sombrero that I received as a gift of thanks from the youth in the church out in the Guajira this past youth camp. Back to popular demand, I thought I'd just do a video blog entry. So here it goes. Blog entry dated July 5th, 2010, entitled So Different Yet Also the Same. Water sports, rope courses, and elaborate night games are a few of the many things I was blessed to experience during my 10 youth camps that I enjoyed in beautiful British Columbia since the 8th grade. It was after that first youth camp that I attended, I began my search for truth that led me to the God that I serve today. And as I sit here and write, I'm not going to lie. The realization of how good we have it in Vancouver, Canada, grows each day. I have truly been blessed to have had the opportunities and experiences thus far in my short 24 years. One of those being the access to the plethora of amazing Chinese food in Vancouver. Okay, back on topic. This past weekend marked the second year in a row since that first summer after my 8th grade, where I have not attended my home church's annual youth camp, either as a camper or as a counselor. Being 24 years old, a mere 10-year-old tradition definitely does have its place in my heart. Not being able to participate last year was hard, but it was necessary, as I took another step in being fully commissioned as a missionary in South Carolina last July. This year will be no different. I will scan the pages of Facebook of the youth in our church to see the craziness that took place over the Canada Day long weekend back in British Columbia, and hopefully receive a few emails filling me in on the amazing things God is doing in our youth back home. That being said, God called me here to Colombia for a reason, and He didn't intend to leave me hanging. With 4 days' notice, I was informed that a fellow missionary, John, and I would be leading all the activities for the youth camp in the neighboring department of Colombia called the Guajira. It's located in the northernmost part of South America, bordering the Caribbean Sea and Venezuela. In turn, the area is littered with Venezuelan contraband, home to a number of indigenous Indian groups, and a desert, where the camp we were going to help with just so happened to be located. So with 4 days to prepare, we brainstormed ideas, made our way to the market, purchased hammocks, and prayed for the upcoming weekend, of which we had no idea what to expect. After a short taxi ride, a madhouse of van and bus drivers surrounding us for our business, randomly being switched into another vehicle and taking on a new passenger, stopping at Cuatro Villas, literally a four-way stop in the middle of nowhere that consists of an army base, a soccer field, hawker stands that were selling grilled goat, and a railway, only to switch drivers once again, as well as vehicles. 5 hours later, we safely arrived at the camp in a little town called Guajira. As our car came to a halt after slowly creeping along the uneven dirt path, we arrived at our destination. With one chain-link fence gate guarding the property and the rest being lined with a cacti fence, John and I knew we were about to experience many firsts during the next 72 hours. We saw a few campers in the distance, and then were instantly greeted by a young man as he hopped on his bike to greet us at the entrance. The fact that even our local pastor seemed nervous about the language barrier did kind of unnerve us. Nonetheless, we followed his lead, shook hands with our hosts, and were led to the lone building in the middle of the site. It consisted of a few pillars, light bulbs, a roof, and hooks for hammocks. Going with the flow, we put down our bags and secured our hammock hooks with the ropes we had brought. Fresh from the hardware store, our ropes weren't even cut to length yet, so I'm sure the kids are amused at our efforts trying to adjust. We were told to leave the rest of our setting up until after the opening session, so thus the camp began. There was no fancy band, not even an old school track to sing to, just plastic chairs and a dirt field and a bunch of eager and excited kids. With about 30 plus campers in attendance, 2 to 5 people from 13 different churches had made their way to Uribia for the weekend camp. We all got to introduce ourselves, sing worship songs in the dark, or at least we tried to when it came to the songs in the Indian language of the Wayu. If you want, you can scroll down to where this is right now, and for more information on the Wayu Indians, I posted a video, and there's a link there. And there, under the night sky, we kick-started off our camp. As to be expected, we were humbled in a very comical way quite quickly. Shortly after our first dinner, as a group together, it was time to set up our sleeping arrangements. Pastor Julio, John, and I made our way back to the lone overhang building where we had claimed our hammock hooks when we had first arrived. We continued to unpack and set up our hammocks. Quickly, our newly acquired fresh hammocks were secured and ready to be enjoyed. We stood back and we admired our work and were ready for bed. Except we noticed one thing different. As we looked around, the other 15 hammocks that we were surrounded by in the building were all those of the young girls between the ages of 10 to 16. All the boys and the men had set up their hammocks amongst the brush, cacti, and trees outside in the wilderness. Like little city boys, we were placed with the young girls under the safety of a roof to accommodate us as their guests. This past weekend was honestly such a different youth camp for me, but one that I am very thankful to have experienced. Back during my deputation process, there was a picture that many of my friends, family, and even I had when we imagined what it was going to be like when we found out the Lord was sending me to Colombia. This past weekend was pretty much bang on. It was like I had gone back in time, to a time before beds, before running water, stoves, and even electricity for some parts of the camp. It was back to the basics. But in reality, it was just a glimpse of what everyday life is like for many of those campers who were in attendance. This experience included wondering why, in the schedules we were given, was the 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. slotted washroom/shower time. Before the sunrise, and I still have no idea how they got it to do this, the cock crowed right at 4 a.m. And as normal as can be, everyone got out of their hammocks and began baño time. We quickly realized why they wake up at 4 a.m. to start this process. Taking a shower is a group activity. With 3 completely pitch dark stalls, one by one, water was fetched from the well and brought over to the shower area. This process involved feeling around in the dark for some kind of hook or nail to place your towel or hang your clothes on. Then using a cup as a scoop to shower yourself. Dry, redress, then sweep out all the water so it's ready for the next person. As archaic and as backward as this process sounds, trust me, spending all day in the desert, it's the most satisfying and refreshing procedure. In addition to our hammocks and getting up at 4 a.m., witnessing the woman preparing all 40 portions of food for each of the 3 meals in a kitchen made out of logs and a stone fire pit, as goats randomly grazed nearby, was really quite amazing. As laborious as things seemed, one thing did stand out to me. Everything seemed to run smoothly, because everyone worked as a team. They knew their roles on how to help out, and in turn, everything ran effortlessly and efficiently. It was us, the 3 city boys, who awkwardly enjoyed the new experiences and returned home with a renewed appreciation for electricity and running water. There's too much to write about this past weekend for one blog entry, so instead, click on the link for a photo album to show you what we had the privilege of being a part of. From the shyness of the YU Indian youth when we first met, to the openness by the time we had left. God overcoming the language barrier that present, and youth being youth regardless of their geographical location. This past weekend was truly an experience that won't soon be forgotten. From safely getting there and back to meeting the Kogi Indian shaman in the bus terminal, we definitely once again witnessed the immensity of the God we serve. It doesn't matter if it's back home in North America, among the wired next generation youth, where I came to know Christ, or here in the desert of Colombia. God was and is able to meet us where we're at. And the best part is knowing is that that is the type of God that I serve. Now, only if I could find some good Chinese food. Well, that concludes this blog entry. I hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to continue to update you. And thank you once again for all your encouragement and your support during my time here. Till next time, see you later.